look at that gorgeous color. Oh my goodness. So I started out with a whole bunch of stuff, and a lot of it that you saw, let me just show you, a lot of it was inspiration. Like I thought about putting some gold down in here, but as I started going, things always, as you start creating, it starts to take on its own story. So, but even like this pattern here was very similar to the stencil pattern that I have. And these tiles got infused in there. I was going to use more of it and I didn't. So everything kind of always evolves. These were vintage postage stamps for like Marrakesh and Tangier and faraway Casablanca. Oh, all those fun, dreamy places that we see in the movies. And then this piece came from one of my Happy Mail givers, and it's a sticker sheet. And although none of this looks like it would be, kind of Marrakesh, Moroccan kind of thing, this little sticker thing down here fit really well in there, helped fill up the space. Then I just printed out some tiles from like Home Depot. This was an example of pictures for a tile for Home Depot, but it was kind of that Moroccan feel, and you can see them in the background. So that was perfect for that. And I also printed out some just random maps that I had that were of that area. I found this too on Pinterest, and it's not a copyright free, so I didn't want to use it because I wanted to be respectful. But what I did use was I cut out this part here and then copied it in black and white. Because for one, if I had the color, if I had permission to use all of this piece, the blue was just too much. And I didn't want it to fight with the colors in the background because I was loving that. So as I did that black and white and then added some shading color and that kind of thing with it. So in hindsight on this piece, I probably should have made this bigger. I needed it to be taller because it felt very empty up here. It needed more. And even though I added different elements, they kind of super disappeared into the back, which was fine because it's gorgeous. So this is why these little black, I tried highlighting some whites up here and doing some additional drips to kind of fill in that space so that it didn't feel naked up there. But it still did not work. And I didn't want to add anything. Normally I'll go to numbers or, something like that. But I had from my backgrounds stencil these kind of Moroccan shapes. And so I did that, and that helps. That definitely helped fill in the space without taking away too much of what was there. And I also used like one or two of these little tiny vintage quatrefoil stencil. And then of course my old world stencil. Those are the stencils that were used. But pretty, just lots of layers, lots of underlayers of the vintage maps. And then those tiles in here. And of course the stencil was the big part. Oh, and the stencil, as I did the stencil, I put the paint on pretty heavily. I wasn't really worried about getting a crisp, clear image because I knew that I was going to have a lot of layers on here. And then I took my paper towel and I kind of dabbed it up so that it kind of had this, it was darker around the edges and kind of maybe a Petite feel, that kind of thing. And I loved how it worked. I used all Liquitex basic paints today because I was doing a lot of stenciling. I love my DecoArt fluid acrylics, but fluid acrylics are harder to stencil with. The thicker your paint, the easier, the more it's going to stay in place. So I've got dioxazine purple, deep violet, cerulean blue hue, bright aqua, and then with blacks and white, titanium white, and carbon black. So that is it, my lovies. It says, she dreams of faraway places and daring adventures. And this was a really good message for me this week, because sometimes our reality is just, it's a lot. You know, our reality is work and kids and relationships and things like that. And sometimes we find ourselves daydreaming about faraway places or daring adventures, or maybe it's not even that. Maybe you find yourself daydreaming about starting your own business or having your art in a gallery or whatever it is. There's always that little dreamy place in our hearts and our souls that we really need to nurture and keep alive, because that's what really takes away the doldrums of the everyday. It gives us that little bit of spark and hope and excitement. So whatever that dreamy, faraway dream is, goal, whatever it is, really nurture it. Don't let it go. Keep it in front of you and make small steps to make that happen. So I dream, for instance, I dream of going to Spain. I want to go to Spain and I want to go to Italy. The architecture and the art and the grungy goodness there, makes my heart swoon. Will I get there? I don't know. But what I am doing is I'm taking steps. I'm getting my passport. I've, have a little side account for money to stash into a Spain trip or whatever. Sometimes you got to take from it to live life or whatever. But there are those little things that you can do to feed that dream, to keep it alive. And it builds this excitement inside of our hearts, and it makes our dreary, sometimes boring, stressful days exciting because we think about our dream. Whatever your dream is, really take the time to nurture it and love it, and make sure that you take 1 or 2 steps to make it happen, to make your life, you only have one. You only have one beautiful life. What are you going to do with it? Nurture those dreams of faraway places, or your art, or your business, or whatever it is. All right, loves, I hope your Sunday is awesome, and I hope that you always, always know that you are loved.